Yo, what's going on, everybody?
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world.
Loud, good to hear
Thanks
from
for
you. How you
joining.
doing, man?
Going on, man?
Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, season's over for, well, unless you're doing, unless you're doing any type of DFS or playoff contests. Yeah, the season is over, but we're still here. Still get an opportunity to talk with anybody who wants to come hang out. Still talk football.
Nick put out a great video today on Treylon Burks, so go and check that out. We got Dynasty rookie content coming for you. If you just want to get a head start on your redraft league, or maybe you play in Dynasty, maybe you've just been thinking about Dynasty.
Sure. Yeah, maybe it's something you're thinking about stepping into if you don't already.
Yeah, we don't have much DFS content coming for you. That's probably 2023 development for us, but we do have some technicals that we're working with. We're trying to
still messing around with a few things, so obviously keep it locked here if you're interested. But before we kick off with today's topics, just gotta mention, objectively speaking, John, I know this past weekend was a little hurtful for you, but objectively speaking, this might have been the best weekend of football I've ever watched in my life.
It was pretty incredible from start to finish. And
the games were fantastic, all of them, for different reasons, for different narratives, the outcomes. Everything came down to either a game-winning kick or overtime in the case of the Chiefs and the Bills. It was outstanding product. I can't imagine the NFL is anything other than giddy over what just happened with the divisional round. Bengals go on the road, upset the Titans. They're in the AFC Championship game. The San Francisco 49ers go on the road in 0-degree weather at Lambeau.
I still can't believe they pulled that one out.
Man, that game was nuts. It was low scoring, but it had plenty of excitement. That game was unbelievable. So Aaron Rodgers' future is officially up in the air, and we're going to get to that shortly. And then Sunday, it continued to get better. If every game improved, every game topped the next in some way.
Yeah.
Rams go, there were 3 road victories this weekend. The Rams go into Tampa Bay. They beat the defending champions. The Bucs made a valiant effort. They made a valiant comeback. They were down big.
It was interesting until the end. I mean, every one of these games was interesting until the very end.
Yeah.
It's a really fun football weekend if you are watching with no fandom involved.
Which was thankfully my situation. I'm happy to say that, I didn't have a horse in the race, and other than, messing around with a couple of playoff contests courtesy of Underdog. They should really start sponsoring us with how much I shout them out. One day. But the Rams beat the Bucs on a last second field goal from Matt Gay. And then the night game was the best of them all by far. The Chiefs and the Bills go down to it's back and forth. It's a heavyweight slugfest. Multiple lead changes, multiple big plays in the second half, ultimately led to overtime. with the Chiefs pulling it out at home, and they'll be hosting the AFC Championship next week against Cincinnati. And in the NFC, it's an all NFC West showdown between division rivals, between the Rams and the 49ers. Couldn't ask for better football. Couldn't ask for a better product. I must have yelled a bunch of holy, like a million times. Just a bunch of crazy reactions.
Words were thrown. Yeah.
Duh. Oh yes.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah. Just out of sheer excitement and disbelief. Unbelievable weekend of football. Unreal. So
the Bills Chiefs outcome hurt. Not gonna lie. That's why I've been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
The Bills outcome hurts. 13 seconds away from. I mean, what I believe to be. I mean that team's in the Super Bowl. I think they. Steamroll past the Bengals.
I mean, sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing at home, steamroll past the Bengals, and they're into the Super Bowl. That's what I'm thinking. 13 seconds away from that.
That's what if you're a Bills fan after Gabe Davis catches his fourth touchdown of the game.
13 seconds, I had my phone in my hand to call my dad. And
ready to go.
No, not gonna do it yet.
Wait till the clock hits zero.
Kept telling my girlfriend, she was watching it with me. Gotta wait. Till they hit zero, and
with that offense with Patrick Mahomes on the other side, you quite literally can't count it out until the game is not allowed to be played anymore. So, and that's exactly how it played out. I'll say this for the Bills: Josh Allen, it's not obviously not this
year. What that game came down to.
Yeah.
Regardless of coin toss, I see you threw that out, out.
And we can talk about that.
And I regardless of that, and I'll speak on that in a second. The Chiefs have three future Hall of Famers on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes.
And Mahomes is easily already on that trajectory.
Full effect, full show on Sunday, especially late in the game. Huge gains by Hill. Touchdown by Kelsey. Touchdown by Hill, too, earlier, before that.
Right.
Huge games by Hall of Fame players. The Bills right now have one future Hall of Famer. Projected. I mean, I'm projecting out, and that's Josh Allen.
You'll project Allen out. I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done.
If there's anybody on this
past
Bills
two seasons have been pretty promising.
That is a Hall of Fame caliber player. It's him. Nobody else is. It's just a well-built team, otherwise well-coached for the most part. That's what it came down to.
The coaching.
One team's got 3 Hall of Famers.
Right.
And one team has 1 if we're projecting out.
If we feel like we can go there.
That's what it came down to. Now,
Patrick
my
Mahomes
hope and my fear is that the Bills went and spent a first-round pick, second-round pick on defensive line.
Yeah.
To try to contain the Chiefs, and then the year before that, spent their highest pick, their second-round pick, on AJ Epineza, defensive end, to try to get after the quarterback. I want the Bills to think about it more like the Bengals. Go out and get Jamar Chase if he's there.
Get that stud wide receiver.
If you can overcome offensive line issues. If the playmakers are there.
The Bengals overcame one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the league to get to the AFC Championship game. So that just goes to show you what the game is all about today. Like, do you have the quarterback and do you have the weapons to get him the ball?
Or more weapons because the Bills were 13 seconds away from winning that game, but Stephon Diggs had 3 catches for 7 yards. And I know on the other side of the ball you had Gabe Davis.
Not a big game.
He was 8 receptions for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns, killing it. He just had
everything and then some. Everything and then some.
But Stephon Diggs is not a Hall of Famer.
He's an all-pro player.
He's a very, 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 very good wide receiver.
He's an all-pro player.
So go out and keep trying to fill that position. Go get yourself another Hall of Famer to pair, a future Hall of Famer to pair with Josh Allen.
I guess the thing with the
go and draft a playmaker.
With the Bengals, Jamar Chase, they got Jamar Chase fifth overall. The Bills are not going to have a pick that high.
No, I'm just talking
for as
about
long
that
as Allen's
mentality.
their quarterback.
Don't go out
yeah,
and try to attack D-line again. That's my
Get
fear.
offense. Fight fire with fire.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all I know is Patrick Mahomes aside, the future's bright for the NFL with some of these young quarterbacks, and it starts with guys like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. They're both excellent.
And I'm rooting for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. You got my vote.
I hope that and I see Matt's that's a Bengals fan.
Murder Mahomes, okay? Yo, get revenge for us. You guys did it once for us.
The Bills,
your Bengals fans, your Bengals team got the Bills into the playoffs once.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Shout out to Andy Dalton. Do us a favor again. Avenge us.
Do them another solid. Get Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl.
I would love it.
Hey, man.
I would love it. Go Joe Burrow. I'm all for it.
If I would obviously going into last game, I felt better about the Bills' chances than I maybe do about the Bengals' chances this weekend. Like I'm talking about like my feelings prior to last weekend. I can't count out Joe Burrow at this point. I see no reason why they can't. Here's the thing, and whether or not you feel this way about the Chiefs, they're the ones playing with all the pressure, and maybe they handle it better than most. But like the Bengals, there's no expectations at this point. They could just go out there and play loose, just go play football. If you're Cincinnati, just go do your thing. No one's expecting the Bengals to win, or the national
when he's on.
The national consensus. I would be willing to bet or argue that everyone's already probably counting the Bengals out. So just go play. Take that to heart. If you're Cincinnati, take that to heart and just show them what you got. I have no reason to believe why Joe Burrow can't go and win that game.
He did it once late in the year.
Yeah, I mean, that game was in Cincinnati, so it's a different beast having to go to Kansas City, having to play Mahomes in his house.
Joe Burrow seems built for it.
Burrow's the type of dude. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be – the moment's not going to be too big. National championship winning first overall pick in the draft quarterback with unreal weapons on the offense. Like, yeah, they got as good a chance as anybody.
Now, a quarterback who we teased in the thumbnail and in the title of this live stream, Aaron Rodgers. It's a huge question mark coming into the offseason.
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks,
does he retire outright? Something that he's teased.
Which was something that was teased today. Yeah,
earlier today.
It was speculated that it's on the table. So I don't think he's going to retire. For one simple reason, he keeps losing playoff games. I know, there's no way. No matter what your perception is on any one NFL player, the fact that you're in the NFL, and obviously Rodgers is one of the best to ever do it, there's a level of competitiveness that people like us can't relate to. Or maybe we can, but like we just, it's a combination of like skill plus desire and all that good stuff. I can't relate to the level of competitiveness that Aaron Rodgers probably possesses. I'm a competitive person, but like, it's an NFL quarterback we're talking about who keeps losing playoff games. I don't think he wants to end on this note. I can't imagine. Maybe there's a part of him that doesn't care. He's made his money. He is you want to talk about Hall of Famers. He's obviously first ballot. I just don't think he wants to go out this way. And I think he set up his contract situation for a potential out this year for this very reason. What if Green Bay doesn't get it done once again? He's going to seek and explore opportunities outside of Green Bay. I think definitively now, this time around, that situation has come to a head. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has played his last snap in the NFL. I would be willing to bet he has played his final snap for Green Bay.
Yeah, I really can't see him sticking around in Green Bay for another year. Even though it does look like they're going to franchise tag Devontae Adams. They might try to keep the band together to try to entice him to stay, but
They can try.
Again,
I'm just not
they
sure.
might not even get to that point because, by all accounts, based off of the interview that he had today, he's going to be making that decision relatively soon. So, we're talking the next month and a half. We're going to probably know the situation before free agency.
So there's a few, and there are a few landing spots where there are opportunities for him. There's going to be a lot of, Eli, you mentioned it.
He's also talked about just retiring, and I got to say,
I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't.
In multiple different interviews, he has talked about Barry Sanders and the way that Barry Sanders retired. Just a letter
on top
in the locker room, just being like, "I'm out, thanks guys."
Yeah.
And that's how he did it, and he walked away, top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Aaron Rodgers, despite this playoff loss, was pretty much at the top of his game statistically.
He had a phenomenal year this year.
Win-wise, phenomenal, regardless of how it ended in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He could just say, "Peace, I'm out, guys."
He could.
I want to go out like Barry Sanders. I'm going to be a Hall of Famer regardless. I don't have to worry so much about my legacy. I have a Super Bowl. It didn't work out at the end of my time in Green Bay, but I can say at the end of the day that I played my whole career with one organization, blah, blah, blah. First ballot Hall of Famer. Knows he can go elsewhere and do pretty much anything he wants, regardless of what that is.
Right. He has his pick of whatever he wants to do once his career is over.
Right.
I don't think it's this year though. Again, I go back to the conversation about the restructure of his contract last year. I think that this exact scenario played out.
I understand.
Out.
I've heard him multiple times cite specifically Barry Sanders and the way he retired.
I just think he likes the spotlight so much that he'll just say whatever he wants. I think Rodgers loves being he loves being in front of the camera. He loves the attention. He loves the attention. He likes being front and center.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there.
So I think I think he's willing to say whatever he needs to get people to pay attention to what it is.
So realistically then, where do you think he goes?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about the two landing spots that stick out right now. It's Pittsburgh and Denver. The cap space makes sense. Not that the cap is like so immovable in the NFL. If teams want to make moves, they find a way. But you're talking about two teams where the pieces are in place, except for the quarterback. Both teams, Pittsburgh and Denver, Pittsburgh we're pretty confident about. Denver, maybe a little less so, but the weapons are good. The receivers are good. The running backs are good. Pittsburgh's offensive line is probably not as good as Denver's just because they're just not good in general. But both defenses are pretty good. I know Denver traded Von Miller away this past offseason, but they've got some pretty strong pieces on defense.
Now,
Pittsburgh
if we're talking about
teams
teams with enough requisite cap space to be able to go out and sign an Aaron Rodgers if he were to hit free agency or whatever, go out and trade for him regardless. Washington fits the bill.
Washington
as far
could
as
well.
a team with enough cap space that needs a quarterback that's relatively decently put together.
And it's
good
a bad
running
division.
Back, good wide receiver, defense that fell off a little bit of a cliff but should be able to rebound because most of the people on that defense are young. And a division that he should be able to take control of pretty easily. That's a possibility. I do gotta say.
That would probably be. That's a big feather in Washington's cap.
But that front office, not the head coach. I don't have any concerns about Ron Rivera, but that front office
is
probably enough for me to say, yo, you're gonna leave Green Bay for that one.
That one's not happening.
That's not what Aaron Rodgers is gonna be doing. That's another reason why we speculate Steelers. That's another reason why we speculate Broncos.
Yeah, well, with the Broncos,
another team I made a video about
to play against
this,
Mahomes twice.
Right, I made a video about this exact topic.
You did
about 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
One team that I completely wrote off because they just went out and paid a quarterback It's the Indianapolis Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think that Carson Wentz is going to be their quarterback next year.
His days are numbered.
They have $40 million in cap space. They can cut him and save $10 million, I believe, in cap space.
The dead cap hit's not as nearly as severe as it was last year for the Eagles when they traded him.
They have pretty much a complete team. It's not just they have a running back and a wide receiver and a defense that follows.
And you want to talk about a wide open division.
The best running back in the league, arguably, the best young running back in the league.
Yep.
And ascending Pittman.
Third year
a
receiver.
Blank slate opposite him with whatever they do in the draft.
Which with Rodgers doesn't matter.
But all pro O-line and defense.
Yep.
Now, I recently heard somebody talking about Tom Brady being a genius and picking out Tampa Bay, not just because of the weapons, but because of the O-line.
Right. And it was an overall loaded roster. That defense was also very good. It was just hard. It wasn't maybe obvious to just necessarily everybody because they were constantly put in so many bad situations because of Jameis's turnovers.
Right.
It's a similar situation with the Colts. Yeah, that's a pretty top to bottom complete roster, except for quarterback.
Now another team here. Now I think this one's a little bit of a long shot because I think they're pretty much stuck with who they have. The Dolphins have the most cap space in the NFL, $70 million in cap space. They're technically not. If they can go out and get Aaron Rodgers over Tua Tagovailoa,
they would do it.
Right. They have the cap space too. They're pretty much ready-made if they make that move.
They would do it. If they find an avenue where Aaron Rodgers would be interested in coming to Miami, they would move on.
Really good defense.
Yeah, defense is good. You have Jalen Waddle. He's really good. Right. Young weapons, some flexibility. You can draft a running back. There are a multitude of options, and I would say of the teams that have kind of have emerged, it would probably be Indianapolis that makes the most sense because again, keep in mind, like similar to the Broncos, you're talking about you got to play Patrick Mahomes twice, you got to play Justin Herbert twice.
Yeah.
If you go to the AFC East, you got to play Josh Allen twice. With the Colts, it's a Tennessee team that appears to have maybe
got to play Davis Mills twice.
You got to play Trevor Lawrence twice, who's descending but still a young player. The only team that is currently right now a threat is the Tennessee Titans, and I think we have officially seen their ceiling.
And if anything, Derek
as
Henry's
currently
fallen off earlier.
Aaron
Rodgers is, and Tannehill can't carry that team.
Ryan Tannehill has been good, not great. He's been pretty good, but the advanced statistics tell you he's been actually very efficient, very good. But he didn't have a good playoff game, and he was a little bit more inconsistent and up and down this year. I think we have seen the limit of this Tennessee Titans team, and it's not much more. I mean, they got the 1 seed, kudos to them, but they still weren't able to win a home playoff game. I think we've seen their ceiling.
Yeah.
So the Colts make a lot of sense.
I think so.
The Colts make a lot of sense.
Go back and update that video without doing it all over again because I kind of wrote off the Colts because.
Well, we did. It happened before the end of this year. It was impossible.
So yeah.
Right. It was impossible to can't obviously like play out every potential scenario. That's asking an awful lot out of your crystal ball. But
talking about crystal balls.
Talk about it.
Running back rankings for 2022.
Yeah, that was the other thing. That was the other thing we wanted to talk about today.
On this quarterback rabbit hole, but
I wanted to touch on Aaron Rodgers, and I know that there are conversations about Tom Brady's future as well. We can absolutely get into that maybe on Thursday's stream. By the way, for anybody who's been paying attention, who has been following us and kind of our schedule. Now that the NFL playoffs are winding down, we will be moving our Saturday streams to Thursday evenings. So there will not be any more weekend streams. We'll be bringing you live streams, not just Tuesday but also Thursday. So maybe a little Thursday night football replacement, so to speak. So we will be coming back Thursday. We could talk Tom Brady then, if that's of interest.
Yo, Theo, what's going on, man?
Just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm
the Saturday
super excited for the draft too.
What's going on, Theo?
Senior Bowl, isn't it? Senior Bowl in like 2 days?
Is it in 2 days?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, look that up. Yeah, I mean, between the combine, like, as we all know now, the NFL season never is truly over. The games stop. It's Saturday, February 5th. So it's not this weekend. It's not this coming weekend. It's the following weekend. So about 10 days from now, give or take, is the Senior Bowl. So you got that. You got the combine. You got the pro days. Free agency is in probably about a month and a half from now. And then there's the draft.
Which we will be live streaming during.
Yeah, we'll just throw that out now. We will be available. We will be live for the NFL draft.
Yeah, one of our first live streams was actually covering the draft, and we went live for 4 hours. So we plan on doing that again.
Woof, marathon.
For multiple days for every day that it's going on, so you can just kind of weave in and out and ask us about certain players that are getting drafted. You know, deep into the draft. We will be there. So yeah, can't wait.
It's gonna be
seriously
fun.
I'm really looking forward to it.
It's gonna be fun. Lots of coffee.
But until then, we have 2022 redraft rankings for running backs. Now, we ran through our 1 through 10 in the last live stream. We started off with Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, and Antonio Gibson. Now, you had a caveat in there where you were talking about Javonte Williams. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, so that was I think we had Antonio Gibson over DeAndre Swift. So that would put DeAndre Swift in today's conversation, the 11 to 20 conversation today. I would be willing to leapfrog Javonte Williams over maybe a couple of players into the top 10 if Melvin Gordon moves on. He's in the top 20 regardless. He's in the top 15 regardless. Yeah. I would be willing to adjust those rankings and move Javonte up in the top 10 if Melvin Gordon moves on. Obviously, we have to actually see how free agency plays out. It's a non-zero chance that Melvin Gordon does in fact re-sign with the Broncos. Even if he does, I still have Javonte firmly in my top 15. But for now, we'll keep him out of the top 15. We'll keep him out of the top 12 because we do not know Melvin Gordon. I do have him
penciled in right now as my number 13 running back, and that is hinging on whether or not somebody else signs there. Because, I mean, they might not go with Melvin Gordon, but they might go with the guy like Sony Michel, something like that.
They could
address it through the draft, at which case, I don't know. We'd have to reevaluate. But right now, the highest of RB2s.
The highest of RB2s.
But before we get ahead
for
of
now,
ourselves,
like the likes of McCaffrey's the RB8, Mixon's the RB9, and Gibson right now is the RB10. But we are going to go quickly through very, very early, way too early, but still fun to talk about 2022 running back rankings for redraft 11 to 20. John, your 11th running back for the 2022 season
man. Yo,
is
go.
You are going to ask me to go first. I will go first then. I'm happy to do that. My number 11 running back is Nick Chubb. Who is the other player that I grappled with on the Tuesday or on the Saturday stream when we were doing the top 10 about between him and Javonte Williams. I'm willing to move Javonte down a little bit until we see how things play out in Denver. But I got Nick Chubb at number 11, one of the best pure rushers in the NFL. I think he was the RB7 or 8 this year for the season.
He was the RB11 in half.
Okay. He missed a couple of games because of COVID. That's right. Or he missed one game from COVID, another game due to injury. So he just missed cracking the top 10. But if he's the RB11 for 2021, I have him squarely in as the RB11 for 2022. There could be some movement in Cleveland this year as far as player turnover. Jarvis Landry is a cut candidate. Kareem Hunt is not, but this is an offense that runs through the run game, no pun intended. Chubb remains the 1A in that backfield, and Kareem Hunt's presence does not scare me off from putting Nick Chubb this high. He's an outstanding runner of the football. He's not asked to catch the ball too much, but he can do it and does do it. So there's enough work there where I'm willing to put Chubb at number 11.
Now I have Chubb at 12, and I agree with
so we're right
majority
around there
of what you were saying. Now the reason that I have him not quite at 11, while we are splitting hairs here, there is another guy here, is because Nick Chubb will be 26.6 years of age by the time the season starts. 26 is approaching the danger zone for running backs. Now, on top of that, his RB fantasy finish in half PPR in 2019 was RB7. In 2020, it was RB9. In 2021, it was RB11. And that was, I know he missed some time in there, but he also played large swaths of the year with no Kareem Hunt, and he couldn't stave off to Ernest Johnson.
There were a couple of games where he did fall flat. Yeah.
But despite the fact that he played many games without Kareem Hunt, he was still only RB10 in points per game.
Yeah,
that still is impressive. But if we're looking at that trend, 2019 RB7, 2020 RB9, 2021 RB11. Now I'm not going to continue that trend and say that he's RB13, but he's not quite the first running back outside of the top 10 for me. The consistency is there, but he is expected to drop off. There are other running backs that this offense trusts. There's a huge question mark at quarterback.
There is.
And they're probably going to be getting rid of their steadiest offensive producer in Jarvis Landry. I say steadiest. I don't mean the one with the most upside. They're steadiest.
Best or whatever,
So this offense is a huge question mark.
Yeah.
Because of that, I have Elijah Mitchell, one step ahead of Nick Chubb.
You have Elijah Mitchell as at 11.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Explain.
RB19 in points per game in 2021.
Blew expectations out of the water. Not that when you have no expectations, and you finish as an RB2, you blew expectations out of the water.
And the difference between RB2 and RB1 this year, and we'll get to it, is whether or not you stayed healthy all year. When it comes right down to it.
Which is hard to do.
And we'll talk about this a lot with somebody like Zeke.
It's almost impossible to do, but yeah.
Somebody who played in the vast majority of games. Elijah Mitchell
did have injuries, but he played through them.
But by the time the team figured out what he was, figured out their offense a little bit, and that offense really got rolling, he wasn't an RB2. He was a low-end RB1.
They committed to him, yeah.
I know by points per game in 2021, he was the RB19. That was with 6 games of them not really knowing how to use him and what was going on. Now, I know he had steady usage early in the year, but that really picked up and he gained consistency late into the season once he came back from his injury. Yeah, I have Elijah Mitchell ahead of Nick Chubb because Elijah Mitchell doesn't have any incumbent competition that is starting over him. That workhorse role is Elijah Mitchell's.
Trey Sermon weeps.
There is no workhorse role for Nick Chubb because even when Kareem Hunt's not in there, Ernest Johnson's getting 10 to 12 carries a game. And that's real. And that coaching staff isn't going anywhere.
No, the coaching staff is the one thing that I guess likely stays the same in Cleveland this year.
And Elijah Mitchell's got a great coaching staff who knows how to use his playmakers. They're going to have Trey Lance in next season, and we can assume that offense takes a little bit of a step forward. So, I'm going to put Elijah Mitchell at my RB11.
Wow, okay. I don't have him that high.
Where do you have him?
I have him as an RB2. But I don't have him at 11. Okay. I like Elijah Mitchell a lot. Like I said, he blew expectations out of the water. battled through injuries numerous times to play in games. I think he had like knee injuries and wrist injuries, but he played through them. There were a couple games he had to miss ultimately, but when he was in, like you said, especially so in the second half of the season, he was the one getting 20 touches. Trey Sermon was an afterthought. Raheem Mostert was obviously not in the picture and is a free agent this year. I can't
Elijah
imagine
Mitchell has 96th percentile speed. He runs in the 4.3s.
Pretty damn good.
He can catch the ball. He's decent in pass protection. I mean, yeah, the ceiling is high. That's a good call out. The ceiling is high for him. It's whether or not he can stay healthy the whole year.
Yeah.
His BMI is a little low.
There you go.
If he can, he has a chance to be an RB1 for sure. With how they're using him in that offense.
Okay. I have so really quickly, Theo's got a question. I'll just really quickly just say that with Elijah Mitchell, I do still have Chubb over him. I'm not I'm intrigued I could potentially flip-flop on that. I'm not sure I could put him yet over DeAndre Swift because of I like DeAndre Swift's upside. I think if Swift is able to stay healthy, the sky's the limit.
Swift is my RB9. I still have Javonte under.
We didn't touch
Mitchell.
on Swift
Javonte
as the
ahead of. You and me have Javonte and Elijah and Swift flopped.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't have Javonte in there because of the concerns about them drafting them signing Melvin Gordon or Sony Michel or somebody like that. If they don't, I have Javonte probably at RB9 and then Swift at RB10 and Antonio Gibson at RB11 and Elijah Mitchell at RB12 and Nick Chubb at RB13.
Got it. Okay. Fair enough. Really quickly, Theo's sitting at 2 for his rookie draft. He's wondering who we would take.
Superflex?
Yeah, is it I can't remember, Theo, if you have one quarterback or if it's Superflex. If it's one quarterback, I think this is the year.
Who the person ahead of you takes.
Right. I think this is a year where I like the receiving prospects more than I like the running back prospects. I mean, I don't know if this is a reach or what, but I'm not opposed to going up and getting Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be a PPR monster. I think I don't know. We have to see where he ends up ultimately, but I think he's good. Every mock has him getting drafted inside the top 15, and NFL teams, as the draft gets closer, they start to move intriguing offensive skill position players up their board. I think this is going to happen with Wilson, and I think it's going to happen with Treylon Burks.
Treylon Burks is like the upside play when you're looking at these two
guys. He's
Garrett
all
Wilson
upside.
Is the type of guy that Nick likes more. Nick loves those Deontay Johnson type receivers.
Yeah,
who are going to be PPR monsters, route aficionados.
Yeah, crisp route running. There might be smaller guys, but they catch a lot of balls.
Receiver isn't that DK Metcalf archetype. That's not the type of receiver that Nick usually goes for. But that's who Treylon Burks is.
That's who Burks is.
But Garrett Wilson, who would you compare him to? Looking at him.
Well, you just said it. I mean,
Waddle? Is he?
Yeah, like a Jalen Waddle, a Deontay Johnson. We were talking about Cleveland a short while ago, like a Jarvis Landry type, like a guy, short and intermediate routes, crisp route running, reliable.
How reliable and efficient Jarvis Landry was. He was a wide receiver 2, a high-end wide receiver 2, especially in full PPR, every year for 5 years.
Yeah, so maybe the monster upside games aren't there with Garrett Wilson. You're not going to see him out. You're not going to see him go down the field and out muscle a defensive back for a 50-50 ball for a 40-yard touchdown. That's not his game.
Well,
you
look at what you compared him to Deontay. And Deontay, he never had more than 20 fantasy points in a game. But he had a steady between 13 and 20 fantasy points.
Right, but he's never going to hurt you. He's never going to hurt you.
Still ended up like a wide receiver 1 because consistent accumulation.
Yeah. I mean, that's the guy I'm looking at the top of drafts this year. If it's not a quarterback, and obviously the quarterbacks are still kind of difficult to project right now because you want to. I mean, quarterbacks are the hardest right now, at least while the playoffs are still going on. It's a crap. It's not a crapshoot, but it's impossible to know who's going to end up where, because all it takes is one team to make a move, to move up, because there's one specific guy that they like. And there was no way that any of us could have seen it coming in February and March because a trade hadn't happened. I'm thinking like Trey Lance with the 49ers last year.
This advocation to go out and get a wide receiver at 2 is taking into account that the guy ahead of you is probably taking Breece Hall. And Breece Hall is
gone.
Najee Harris, but younger, coming into the NFL, basically.
Yeah, and
now,
I would.
He's available. If somebody goes somebody else, if the person ahead of you goes somebody else, so maybe he likes Isaiah Spiller a lot. He's really high on him. The upside that he presents as an SEC back coming into the NFL with 60 receptions over the last 3 seasons. Maybe he fell in love with Kenneth Walker, who looks like he could come in and be Sean McCoy.
Yeah, he stole some. He grabbed some headlines.
Right at the high end of comparisons.
Right, the highest. Yeah.
But if you can get Najee Harris, but Najee Harris like a year younger, not like a year younger from where he is right now, but a year younger from where Najee Harris was coming into the NFL, because Najee Harris was 23 years old, and Breece Hall is 22.
Right.
So you just get one more year of prime. And he should go somewhere and fulfill the same exact role as Najee Harris and have the same ceiling. So if he is available, go and get him. He's probably the surest thing at running back in this draft.
I guess in a one,
the highest upside.
One quarterback league, I guess at this point, he's the favorite to go 101.
Yeah.
So in the 102,
get him, do it. But other than that, depending on what kind of wide receiver you like, go and get either the safe guy in Wilson who comps to a Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, or go and get the high upside, high variance guy who comps to a DK Metcalf.
In Treylon Burks.
But Treylon Burks could also, he has a little bit of more of Mike Williams to his game, or Mike Evans to his game as well. So
needs to get a little.
It's not a full-on DK Metcalf comp. He is just a size speed specimen.
Yeah, size, strength, athleticism. Maybe needs some polishing. His route running, by all accounts, needs some work. So he is a bit of a prospect. But if you're drafted in the top 15 and you're a 6'3", 225-pound receiver, there's a good bet that you're going to see a solid target share right away.
Yeah, I think on a touchdown run, somebody caught him at 23, 24 miles per hour. Which is what DK Metcalf was running when, remember what
there you go.
So
there you go.
Yeah. That's where the comparison comes from. He's 6'3", 220-something pounds, and he has been clocked at the same speeds as a DK Metcalf has. So.
Thea, when do you have your draft? Just out of curiosity. I mean, it varies. It's all over the place. I am a believer of holding your rookie draft, relatively speaking, as soon after the NFL draft as you can, like maybe a week or two, because the idea is you're doing your homework on these guys now, in February, in March, in April, leading up to the draft. So that's my feelings. But the point being, there's a lot of time where we still have to sort all of this out. But those are some early thoughts as far as what to do with
chances are by the time this draft rolls around, maybe I have Elijah Mitchell down where Nick has him. Right now I have him a little bit higher.
Where are
you at 13 and 14 then? If you have 11 and 12, you're going Nick Chubb and
DeAndre Swift. Who I really want. The guy who I want to move higher is DeAndre Swift.
Then do it. Put him at
big
9
believer
like
in that talent. Yeah, I guess I have. I mean, right now he's at 12. It wouldn't take much for me to move him over Nick Chubb at this point, but I can't put him over Antonio Gibson quite yet. I can't put him over Joe Mixon, and the upside of Christian McCaffrey. I'm not ready to go there. But DeAndre Swift is right there in that low-end RB1 conversation. Nick Chubb is as well for me. I mean, for 13, again, this is a caveat. I'm very high, and I have no dynasty shares of this man, by the way. I just am a believer in the talent. I already
said my RB13 was Javonte, so you.
It's Javonte. It's Javonte Williams. I am a big believer. I mean, you know this by now. Anybody who has
kind of why
listened.
I asked for him in doubles, because.
Sure.
Javonte's pretty much our RB13 until further notice, but he has a chance to move up to as high as our RB8, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm willing to put him in the low-end RB1 conversation if Melvin Gordon moves on. We just don't know that yet. I am a huge believer in Javonte Williams, and I think he's got a bright future in the NFL. I think he's going to have another strong season once again in 2022. He's the guy I have at 13. If you've listened to me at all this year, there's probably not too much more that needs to be said. Anytime a sit came up with Javonte, I was like, Javonte.
RB17 finish, the RB16 finish in half PPR was Melvin Gordon. He literally had within a point the same value as Melvin Gordon. So if Melvin Gordon were to leave, we're talking about 250 plus fantasy points from Javonte Williams.
And easily. A lot of touches vacated out of that.
He had around 180, and Melvin Gordon had 180 within a point of him.
Yeah,
and that's
so
with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon literally splitting the same amount of work all season.
Say he gets even like 40 to 50 of those touches.
Yeah.
Look out. But for me, number 14, actually, this is also, hinges on off-season developments. It's Cam Akers.
Okay. All right.
Damn, am I a believer in Cam Akers? Like, first of all, I can't sing his praises enough. Like, true outlier, 5.5 months removed from an Achilles injury.
Insane.
Comes back.
Man. Yeah.
Comes back, and his game he didn't have statistically speaking, he didn't have the biggest of games against Tampa Bay, but in the wild card round against Arizona, in the wild card round against Arizona, I was like, I'm watching rookie Cam Akers all over again. This guy's unbelievable. I do think there's a good chance they move on.
In his second game back.
Right, second game back. First game back was pretty much just like, get your feet wet. Here's 5 touches. Like, just get you ready for the playoffs. I do think there's a good chance they move on from Sony Michel. I think Sony's in the last year of his contract, right? That was that was something the Rams made that move because they lost Cam Akers.
Don't like Darrell Henderson. They played Darrell Henderson out of necessity. They don't like Darrell Henderson.
It seems seems to be the case. Well, they want to play Cam Akers, yeah. Well, if they liked Darrell Henderson, they probably wouldn't have drafted Cam Akers.
True.
If they loved Cam Akers, you can like two different running, or you can having a timeshare.
Darrell Henderson was doing fine, and they still picked up Sony Michel. And then I know Darrell Henderson promptly got injured, but yeah.
I think Cam Akers is the guy in LA next year. I think he reminds everybody why he was, prior to the injury, being drafted as a low-end first-round pick in 2021. Cam Akers is my RB14.
No, I have him at RB17.
Okay, so you're a little lower, but not significantly lower.
I could see it.
There you go. So I got him at 14. This leads me to Elijah Mitchell. I got him at 15.
But let me hit on my 13-14 here too.
Go for it.
No, I got 13 Javonte Williams.
Yep.
My 14, I talked about a guy before I started this stream with you that I said I singled out. I'm going to have this guy higher than you, and you're going to probably look at me a little funny.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
Shout out Will, Keyshawn Vaughn. No, man, Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
Josh,
I don't have him
Hear me out.
I'm listening.
He's not the most spectacular running back in the world.
No.
But he's 20. He'll be 24 and a half.
Really?
Count. When the season starts next year, he's super young. He came into the league
he is
like
super
20.
young.
Now, RB19 finish for him, RB18. RB20 finish, 8. RB2021 finish, 14. And he was the RB16 in points per game this year.
Okay.
Now he seems to
Slight
have
regression
a
from last
floor
year, but not
of
bad.
RB18 and a ceiling of RB8, and he seems to hover around that value pretty much. He was the RB14 this past year. That offense probably isn't going to change much in the way that it's run and the players that it runs through. And Kenyon Drake being signed there had no...
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. So I have Josh Jacobs in my rankings exactly where he finished this past year because I feel like that is a decent balance for him. Again, RB8 in 2020, mostly based off of getting a ton of volume and hitting some touchdowns. But that's fine. If he gets to RB8, that's fine. I mean, yeah, he's my RB14 right now. And
you have to imagine Vegas maybe has a little bit more, or you can only speculate that they're going to have a little bit more normal of a season next year than they did last year, which maybe that helps a little bit as far as just like eliminating distractions. The team gets to just focus on football. You have to imagine that's more likely next year. It's a random intangible. My only concern with Josh Jacobs is he has proven to be kind of game script dependent. So yes, Kenyon Drake didn't impact him, but Jacobs still had some production deficiencies when the Raiders are trailing.
As will any running back. No more than any other.
Him a little bit more. I understand. I'm nitpicking. I'm not trying to say
I know
he
can leave you high and dry.
Yes, he can. That's what I'm saying.
He is one of the most consistently. He's getting the touches NFL running backs in the NFL.
Yeah,
now,
the volume is there.
Just might not use. I don't know. He's my RB14. I made my case. Shut up.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna disagree with me. I knew it. It's okay.
I don't have him that high, but I'm not like totally out. I don't think it's so outrageous.
And I don't love Josh Jacobs. There are guys that I would rather have on my team above him that I have ranked lower than him right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm being fair to my rankings and what I look back on as far as historically and his age compared to some of these other running backs who are maybe due for some decline at some point, I just RB14.
Okay.
Not sexy.
Right. But boring, but sometimes boring works.
That's basically where he finishes.
Boring, but sometimes boring works. That's okay. That's fair. I do have him as a low end.
RB8 season.
Yeah, I know.
He wasn't winning you leagues.
He won you weeks.
He won you weeks in the beginning of the year, but that year I remember having him, and he wasn't the RB1 on my team. Late into the year, I feel like his RB8 stats were inflated by a 3-touchdown game he had in week 1, if you remember.
Right.
Remember
that definitely. Yep, that boosted his numbers for sure.
Right. But he would have still finished RB12, then so I have him ranked RB14. So. A lot of you might disagree with me just because he's not a sexy pick anywhere.
He's boring. Yeah, he's boring,
he's about as boring a running back as you can get.
Boring sometimes works.
Right. Who do you have at 15? You said Elijah Mitchell at 15?
Yeah. So 13 is Javonte for me. 14 is I said Akers. 15 is Mitchell. 16 is the opposite of Josh Jacobs. It's kind of all or nothing at this point in his career. And some people might disagree with me here on this, but I'm willing to take a shot. 16, I have Saquon.
Okay.
It's a well that I'm willing to go back to one more time. This Giants offense has nowhere to go but up. Do I believe that they will actually get it figured out? I don't know. What I do know is one of their main issues in Dave Gettleman has retired. They will have a new general manager this year. In fact, they hired Schoen from Buffalo.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good hire. Like, look at the Bills roster now. Pretty good hire. I think the Giants' arrow is still kind of meh because Daniel Jones is still there, but it's better than it was a year ago.
And they're tied to that monster Kenny Golladay contract for the foreseeable future, so I'm not super hype about that. But that is going to impact how the moves they can make and the success they'll have moving forward.
Sure. I think Saquon, again, the second pick in the draft. The Giants are going to want to give him all the work that he can. He's another year removed from the injury. If it doesn't ever happen again, I'm willing to potentially bite that bullet, taking one more swing for the fences on Saquon this year in the second round. I think Saquon has a chance of being 2021's Joe Mixon.
No, I have Saquon down at RB19.
Okay, so RB2.
2019 finish, RB10. 2020 finish, RB 118. Now I know injuries.
He tore it. He tore his ACL week 2.
RB 2021, RB 32. Points per game in 21, 38. So
was in and out of the lineup.
Even
bad
when accounting for games where he wasn't playing due to injury.
Yeah.
He still finished RB 38 in points per game. Wasn't pretty, and he was getting all
No, it wasn't good.
Like,
I understand. It wasn't good. It wasn't like, oh, look at the points per game. He was actually an RB2. I understand it wasn't good.
He's still relatively young. He'll be 25 and a half by the time the season rolls around.
Okay, there you go.
But the ceiling of RB10 over the last 3 years, floor of RB 38 is what the numbers tell me over the last 3 years. Now I know what his ceiling is as a prospect, but he's not a prospect anymore, man.
No, he's not a prospect anymore.
And at some point, with running backs especially, we have to start looking at him a little bit different.
Sure, he's not rookie Saquon. I understand that.
And this isn't a guy that has the ceiling of a guy that's going to be used like a Christian McCaffrey. This isn't a guy that's going to get you 400 fantasy points. He's a guy that can get you to RB10 based on volume. Right.
What's going on, Troy? Thanks for joining.
What's going on, Troy?
Troy's never drafted Saquon. Look,
yeah, he's down at my RB19. The guy that I have
burned a bunch of people. I understand.
And that was your RB16 or 15?
I got him at RB16.
Okay.
I got him at RB16. So I'm not like going nuts and saying he's at I got him as my RB11 or 10 or whatever. I think if I had to peg somebody though as a 2022's version of 2021 Joe Mixon, where vibes were down, ADP was still relatively high, it's Saquon.
Turned around. I mean, that offense is completely different with Joe Burrow healthy and Higgins and Boyd and Chase and Zona.
Yeah, it's a much better supporting cast in Cincinnati than it is in New York. I do go back and again, it was rookie year Saquon where he was healthy. He was, he wasn't coming off a slew of injuries. That offense wasn't very good either, and he still crushed. Again, I know it's a lifetime ago at this point when you're talking about 4 years ago in the NFL. But Saquon is an elite pass catcher.
In 2018.
He's an elite pass catcher at the running back position. There's no way the Giants can't do anything other than give him as much work as he possibly can handle, being a former number 2 overall pick.
Hasn't mattered.
I understand it hasn't mattered. Like I have said, and this is the last thing I'll say about Saquon, and then I'll move on. I am willing to take one more swing for the fences. If it burns me, so be it. But if he is a year removed from the injury and he's able to put it together, it will be a hit in the middle of the second round or even later, because wide receivers will go ahead of him too.
At RB15, also finished in 2019 as a top 3 fantasy running back. In 2020, he finished RB5.
Okay.
And in 2021, he finished RB12, RB14 on points per game. Aaron Jones.
I can't believe I haven't said Aaron Jones' name yet.
Higher than everybody on. He is the
overall RB1.
He's the Javonte.
Overall RB1.
The Javonte.
Oh, Aaron Jones was
the Javonte before the Javonte.
Aaron Jones was my first Javonte Williams.
Aaron Jones is 27, and he will be 27.7 by the time the season rolls around.
Oof.
His lowest finished in the past 3 years was the season he had this past year, RB12.
Yeah, he's rock solid.
I know A.J. Dillon is there, but
yes, he is.
But now there's all this concern that Aaron Aaron Rodgers is going to be
That's
leaving.
that's the potential. So okay, sure. So if we know Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, yeah, Aaron Jones moves up, but that's a major question where we talked about this earlier. I'm leaning that Rodgers is not back. It's gonna impact Aaron Jones.
Regardless of that, it can't get worse. Sorry, I'm not speaking into the mic. Regardless of that, it can't get worse than it is with Daniel Jones and the Giants right now. And I know they got
I know I'm targeting a player in a terrible offense when I put Saquon at 16. I understand that. And you don't have to sell me on Aaron Jones. You already know.
So I have Aaron Jones as my RB15 because he's there for another. He's somebody that they committed to and he committed to them.
Yes, he did.
Regardless of whether or not Aaron Rodgers stays there and plays another game in Lambeau.
Man, I feel so disrespectful that I have Aaron Jones this low. I have him at 17.
I can't believe you don't have him higher. But
I have him at 17.
Hey,
I have him at 17.
He's my RB15 and my RB16 is David Montgomery.
He's my 18.
RB25 finish in 2019, RB4 finish in 2020, RB21 finish in 2021 with the points per game of RB20. But he was injured in there a little bit.
Missed time, yeah.
Regardless,
bad Bears offense this year. Bad Bears offense
Khalif
should
Raymond
be better.
wasn't taking much work. Not Khalif Raymond. Who's the running back?
Khalil Herbert.
There we go. Sorry.
Khalil Herbert.
It was okay. Khalil Herbert, he was a great fill-in when David Montgomery was not available for the team, but when David Montgomery was out there, he was a high-end RB2 for you, low-end RB1 some weeks, despite that offense being terrible.
Right, and Chicago's offense should be better this year. Matt Nagy was fired. There's nowhere to go. Right, there's nowhere to go but up. Justin Fields obviously has a lot of seasoning to get under his belt. There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
There, so they should
most likely,
they're probably going to be replacing him in terms of a playmaker in the offense. David Montgomery is still there. He's still young. He'll only be 25. Recently turned 25 by the time the season rolls around.
Yep, that's no problem.
Again, ceiling of RB4, floor of RB20, 21. But yeah, I'm taking that at RB16. I don't think his role changes at all. I think it might grow.
No.
We might see a little bit more of a spark from this offense, like you alluded to. So I have him over Saquon. I have David Montgomery there just because I know he's not going to give me RB38. He might not give me RB2. He might not even get me RB10. But he's not going to get me RB38. His floor is RB21.
That's fair. I have him as my RB18. I'm a big fan of David Montgomery. As you know, I was a big proponent of trading for David Montgomery for your playoff run in 2021. I like David Montgomery a lot. And you saw it when David Montgomery was in, even after Khalil Herbert had strung together a couple of good games in a row. The Bears totally went away from Khalil Herbert.
Right.
It was all David Montgomery. Khalil Herbert couldn't buy a snap from the Bears when David Montgomery was back in. So I'm a believer in the workload. David Montgomery is a chalk safe bet. Maybe a slightly more intriguing Josh Jacobs with maybe not.
I was just thinking I might end up by the time that this time next week, I might have Josh Jacobs and David Montgomery flip-flopped.
Right. I think Montgomery is a little bit more of an intriguing.
I might have Montgomery at RB14 and Josh Jacobs at RB16.
Yeah, and I have no problem with putting David Montgomery a little bit higher. I currently have him as the 18, one spot right below Aaron Jones. So we're close there. We're close on David Montgomery. We're close on David Montgomery. But I guess I have him one spot lower. But I like David Montgomery. It's obvious the Bears want to give him as much as he can handle as far as a workload when he's healthy. And again, have to imagine that Bears offense has nowhere to go but up.
Agreed. Who do you have at RB 17 and 18?
So I had so Elijah Mitchell's 15, Saquon 16. I had Aaron Jones 17, and I have Montgomery 18. So
okay.
That's that 17, 18.
All right,
I'll round this out.
19 and 20.
My 19, I'm not sure that everybody else is going to have this, but This is going to be this is potentially a little dicey, and I might be rushing this back a little too soon because you have to look out for running backs the first year coming back from injury. But J.K. Dobbins, as a rookie, averaged 6 yards a carry. And if he's able to get back to even 80% of that in year one, it's obvious that the Ravens missed their lead back this year. It was pretty much, shout out to Devontae Freeman for finding a little bit of fountain of youth this year as far as production. But the Ravens want to get back to giving the ball to a healthy J.K. Dobbins. We're talking about, at their ceiling, the number one rushing offense in the NFL in the Baltimore Ravens, with Lamar Jackson running the show. J.K. Dobbins is a huge part of that. Again, I am well aware, I fully understand we have to be aware of running backs, players in general, but running backs coming back from their first year from injury. So there's absolutely some pause. I understand if people don't even have him listed as an RB2. But J.K. Dobbins proved himself in his rookie year. The talent is there. He doesn't catch a ton of passes because the Ravens, it's not really
in that offense will be
right. It's not really a part of their.
Where his value comes from. It comes.
It's not really,
red zone usage.
And I think the Ravens got to imagine, again, their seal. They have to be going. They have to be trending up. This is a team that kind of floundered a little bit and missed the playoffs. That by the the law of averages, they're not going to lose 4 games in a row on 4th and 1 decisions on the goal line where all 4 of them went the other way. The ball bounced the other way. So just you got to imagine the trajectory is a little different for the Ravens in 2022. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. It's going to be first year back from an injury, but J.K. Dobbins.
No, I actually have J.K. Dobbins higher than you if you have J.K. Dobbins at RB19. I have J.K. Dobbins 1 spot ahead at RB18.
Okay, all right, there you go.
RB17 is Cam Akers, and I could see a situation
you have Cam
where I
17.
end up putting Cam Akers up a little bit higher.
I have him at 14, so.
Yeah, I have a feeling these rankings, my top 10 rankings are pretty much set in stone. But I have a feeling these 11 through 20 rankings are going to be a lot more fluid.
Can't caveat enough. This is obviously a very, very early look at 2022. We will for sure be changing, or not for sure, but things are likely to change.
Yeah.
This is just an opportunity to,
like I said,
put a board together early to give yourself an idea of what you want to do.
Next week, I probably will be coming on here saying I'm going to have David Montgomery at RB14.
I lied. I'm changing the whole thing.
Right. But, yeah, right now, RB17, Cam Akers, what he's doing right now, like you said, to echo your sentiments, is ridiculous. Hats off to him for getting there.
Unreal.
And he's in a great offense, and they might win the Super Bowl. So I might end up having him a little bit higher, depending on how he continues to do in the playoffs here.
And if so,
at RB18, I do have J.K. Dobbins. RB21 finish in 2020.
Yep.
And the one thing you didn't mention is the fact that not only did J.K. Dobbins go down, but the guy that was supposed to back him up and be their RB1 after J.K. Dobbins went down also went down.
Gus Edwards went down too,
That's going to be taking him out for a fair amount of time too. So
right, that injury happened later.
Latavius Murray or Devonta Freeman.
They might sign one of those two.
They get a year older. So, but J.K. Dobbins should have more of a role this year, coming off an injury if all goes the way that it went for Cam Akers. Now, we're not expecting a 5-month recovery period, especially for somebody who had LCL damage and MCL damage in Dobbins.
Right.
But if he can come back,
say 75%,
he should have more of the role than you would think, because Gus Edwards is coming back from an injury too.
Right.
And Justice Hill is coming back from an injury too. So,
right.
And Tyson Williams can't ever be relied
on. That was a fun little 2-game experiment.
Right. So yeah, J.K. Dobbins could be walking into a larger workload than we are projecting for him right now.
Yeah. Maybe not to start the season, but in general, yeah.
The injury concerns have me bumping him down a little bit. That's why he is my RB18 right now. But 2020, when they were trying to figure it all out, they had Melvin Ingram at the beginning of the year, and then they switched to more Gus Edwards throughout the year. Did I say Melvin Ingram?
You said Melvin Ingram.
Mark Ingram.
That's what.
He still ended up being RB21.
So there you go.
I believe the stat was if he would have started the year how he finished the last 7 games of his year, he would have been an RB1. So
that is the expectation, yeah.
So RB18 I feel is about right for him considering he's coming off from injury.
Okay, I got him at 19. You got him at 18, so we're right
18,
there.
Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins for me. 19 for you is J.K. Dobbins. Who is your number 20 back?
It's Josh Jacobs, who you are higher on, but I'm not as high on, but I'm also not. It's the proof is in the pudding.
Closer to consensus on him. I am.
The proof is in the pudding. He's not flashy. He'll win you weeks. He'll hurt you pretty good a couple of weeks, but he's rock solid.
I wouldn't even say that. I don't even think that he's a back that really wins you weeks. I think he's a back that doesn't lose you weeks. He's not a back that will win you weeks.
I guess I'm thinking back
he's
to
in that tier right now where he'll get you like 10 points on the low end, 12 points on the low end, and at the high end he'll get you 18, which is good and makes him a running back that you should be seeking out, and a running back that has more value when you look at his numbers at the end of the season than he does at any point in the week-to-week evaluation. But he does. He
had 10 games with double-digit half PPR,
and that is valuable.
He did have a few games. He did have a few duds.
And technically,
7 for 16.
For what he's ranked at, based by you and based off most of where he is ranked by the community, he's a value based off of what he gives you. And where he's being drafted.
Yeah.
Now, I understand having him down this low.
Yeah.
But he also has never finished this low in his career. Or at least in the past 3 years.
So testament to some season-long consistency that you can rely on from Jacobs.
Yes.
So there you go. So he rounds out my top 20.
Now my RB19 is Saquon Barkley.
Okay. I'm a little higher on Saquon, but you're not too far down on him or too far behind.
No. And my RB20 is a guy that we talked about a little bit before the stream.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay. Zeke is the guy I don't have.
Right after this,
I don't have Zeke in the top 20.
These guys need to be re-signed for me to be in on them. Right after Ezekiel Elliott is the James Conner needs to be re-signed by Arizona for me to be in on him. Is the Leonard Fournette needs to be signed by Tampa Bay for me to be in on him and put him above a Zeke here.
Brady's back, all that.
Right. Rashad Penny, what happens with him? It's the moving pieces guy.
Yeah.
Guys. But right
Zeke
before that, I have to put my last potential RB1 by workload.
Okay.
And I say that, potential RB1 by workload.
Yeah, potential's a key word there.
In the first 1 through 8 weeks, weeks 1 through week 8 this year, he was the RB6.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last 8 weeks, he was the RB24. Now, he didn't miss much time, if any. I think he played all the games. He
didn't miss a lot. No, I think he did play a full slate. Yeah, it was just like in the second half of the season, the production.
But over the last 8 games, he was tied with Sony Michel and Darrell Williams for output. Now, in 2019, he was the RB4. In 2020, he was the RB11. In 2021, he was the RB6. But only because he stayed healthy all year, and no other running backs really did that. You could probably count on one or two fingers. By points per game, he was the RB13. And again, over the last 8 games, he was the RB24. And he's 27, or will be 27 when the season starts. It was his lowest yards per carry average finish with, in a year he played with Dak Prescott, 4.2. He played a large swath of the year with no third wide receiver or third receiver fill-in, so he should have been catching more passes and doing more in the receiving game.
The Cowboys as a whole on offense kind of sputtered a little bit in the second. Not sputtered, they were very inconsistent.
Now, if he can stay healthy, I mean, he finished RB6 on the year. in half PPR.
But if we're gonna
ranking
respect,
him outside of my top 20 feels crazy, and that's why I have him at 20. It's not because I really want to put him at 20, but he finished RB6. And
so it almost feels like we're already disrespecting him enough.
Yeah.
So,
he's
I guess I was just gonna.
The target consolidation is gonna be affected by free agency this year for Dallas. They're not gonna have
Amari
as many,
Cooper is a cut candidate.
Right.
So
you might
I guess
get a little
my only
bit more
thing
work.
is if we're gonna respect regression, are we charting and projecting that Zeke plays 17 weeks, 17 games? If he did it this year, is it fair to expect him to do it again? That would be my only question. Because I don't have Zeke in my top 20.
It's fair to expect him to get banged up at some point and his efficiency to fall off a cliff. But it's also fair to expect him, based off what he did this year, if he can play, regardless of how effective he is, he's going to, at which point your season's tanked if you're relying on him in fantasy. Now, before that happens, based off of the offense that he plays in, he can still get you 8 weeks of RB6 production. But as soon as he picks up an injury or hits that cliff, he's falling off an efficiency cliff, and you're not going to want him, and you'd rather have Tony Pollard. And he will get there. And he also could get hit with an injury that does knock him out, that he can't play through. That could absolutely happen. That's why I have him ranked at RB20 when he finished RB6 on the year. That is kind of unheard of. I've never done that before with any rankings that I've ever had coming into any year. Even before we did this, I never had an RB finish in the top 6 and me be like, man, he's not worth it until RB20.
I mean, I have him out of my top 20 entirely.
Right, and honestly, if Leonard Fournette and Tom Brady and Gronk re-up in Tampa Bay, Leonard Fournette's jumping Ezekiel Elliott and probably some of these other guys, because Leonard Fournette finished RB4 in points per game last year, finished as the RB7.
Yep.
And he was the RB9. He was the RB9 in 2019. I mean, he has a track record of finishing inside the top 10 at running back, and he's younger than Zeke by like half a year, if that matters.
I would say the workload matters.
Yeah, if I was going for an aging running back, I'm going Leonard Fournette over Ezekiel Elliott all day.
No question. Because it's not necessarily, for me, it's not necessarily that half a year. It's the fact that I don't even need to look at the specific numbers to know that Zeke's workload is over the years is higher than Fournette's. Like the wear and tear on Zeke is higher than it is on Fournette.
Yes. So Zeke
That's
might not
what
even
my
be
drawback
in my
is
20,
for Zeke.
in my top 20 next week.
I have a hard time believing I will at
all
any point this year come to a point where he's in my
James
top
Conner
20.
being re-signed by Arizona.
And you'll put him over Zeke?
At which point I'd rather have James Conner over Zeke, same age.
There you go.
Leonard Fournette, if he gets picked up, I'd rather have him over Ezekiel Elliott, same age basically. Rashad Penny, I'd think about it.
Man, that's how the mighty have fallen. This is what happens with running backs, though.
Yeah, I would think about it. I mean, Damian Harris is about the point where it's like...
Damian Harris is in that part of the conversation, too.
Damian Harris would be like, I'd probably take Zeke here over Damian Harris.
I'd take Damian Harris.
There you go.
I have heavy concerns about Zeke moving forward.
All right,
between durability...
Zeke, but, I mean, RB6, and we're talking about him being not even a top 24 running back.
And
even at his worst, he was RB24 over the last 8 games.
We just have to be cautious with this at running back. Like, yes, I hear you, but again, and I'll say this as many times as I need to: running backs don't go downhill; they go off cliffs.
Oh no, I understand that.
So Zeke is not, as far as he's not far away from the cliff.
The problem is, I mean, I think the efficiency cliff has already hit. But they're going to have no choice but to use him because of the contract that they have.
The contract is what's,
So he's going to continue to get involved because he's got this crazy contract.
Yeah, he's going to keep. Even
There's
the
no
contract
choice but
for
to have
me.
him as focal point of the team. But that doesn't mean he can't. He's still gonna be RB14, and I bet you somebody drafts him before. I mean RB24, and I bet you somebody drafts him before RB24.
Oh, somebody will draft Zeke before I'm willing to.
Somebody will draft him in
almost
the top 12.
every scenario this
Somebody
year.
will draft him in the top 12.
In almost every scenario this year, somebody will be in on Zeke before I am, and that's okay. We can disagree.
Same with Saquon.
Right. I mean, and that's okay. You can feel a certain way. We're just bouncing ideas and conversation off of each other, and that's ultimately what we're gonna, what we did this past season to hopefully help everybody win on a week-to-week basis. Yep. That's what we're gonna continue to do.
Yo, Jaws Whedon, what's going on?
Just an opportunity to have a conversation. What's going on, Jaws?
If the Seahawks go offensive line and running back with the first 2 picks, how early would that guy go versus Rashad Penny? It depends. It depends.
Yeah,
who
I mean,
it is.
The Seahawks need defense, and they might be in the quarterback business as far as drafting one and hoping that they can. I mean, if you expect that Russell Wilson has played his last down.
The Seahawks do have a ton of cap space. They're not a destination for an Aaron Rodgers.
No.
But no. I could see
they
the
badly
Seahawks.
Need defense.
They have
$42
million in free in cap. I mean, there are going to be people on the free agent market. Jameis Winston, Sam Darnold will be out there, and I bet he gets a job somewhere and is a scrub somewhere. Mariota's going to be out there. Mitchell Trubisky has been a name that's been talked about at least as an option for teams. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be out there by all accounts. Right?
You got to think. I mean, 3 first-round picks.
The Seahawks are going to have somebody available to them via free agency. I don't know if they go that way in the draft. If they go offensive line and running back,
I can't see how they go running
back. Then that means they're not picking up Rashad Penny, and Rashad Penny walks and he goes somewhere.
Yeah, he goes somewhere else.
I
can't see how they go running back
unless they really believe Chris Carson comes back. I don't see a way that they don't re-sign Rashad Penny.
I'm rooting for Chris Carson, but neck injuries, man.
I'm rooting for Chris Carson to be safe with
neck
his
injuries.
Life and quit football.
Right. I want his. For him as a person, I want his quality of life to be okay.
I loved watching him, but it doesn't need to happen, bro. You don't need to put
neck
your
injuries.
life on the line like that with a neck injury. Come on.
I think Penny has done enough to earn a second opportunity with the Seahawks, and I would be willing to bet the Seahawks have seen enough. This is just speculation. I feel like there's enough there where they can come to an agreement on a contract that doesn't break the bank. It's team friendly from the perspective of you're not plunging a lot of resources into running back. It's Rashad Penny friendly because after missing so much time due to injury and ultimately falling short of expectations as a first round pick, he still gets paid on a second contract.
They should find a way to get Daniel Jones.
No, that I think no. Why? No.
Because.
No, that sounds awful. I don't see
how
the
options
Seahawks...
we just named. I'd rather have him than Sam Darnold retread. I'd rather have him than.
I'd rather find a way to draft a quarterback.
Well, yeah, that too. But I'd rather have him than Jameis Winston retread. I'd rather have him than Taysom Hill retread. I'd rather have him.
I'd rather have Jameis Winston. Not even a question. I'd rather have Jameis Winston over Daniel Jones. Come on now. I'd rather have Jameis Winston. That would be my first choice of okay, I can't trade for Aaron Rodgers. I can't trade for Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson's the Seahawks. I can't trade for Aaron Rodgers. Jameis Winston's my next best option, and then the draft. Daniel Jones is going to be a giant. I think they're locked into that. But anyway, I don't see how Seattle plunges high resources into a running back. It already blew up in their face once with Rashad Penny. They need to spend those picks on offensive line. Makes sense. Quarterback makes the most sense if the pick and situation is right.
If they draft a safety,
and then defense, they need defense. They're not going to do that.
If they draft a safety to pair with Jamal Adams, I'm going to.
They're not going to do that. They are not going to. I just don't see how they draft a running back high. So Rashad Penny's going to get, I think he gets his shot to re-up in Seattle, and I think he's going to get his chance to be the guy there for at least 1 or 2 more years. let's say one more year, and they'll go from there. Could be like a 2-year contract, but Seattle can get out of it after 2022, something like that. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm fixing my mic holder. Give me a second.
You do that. What's going on, Brett?
What's going on, Brett?
And yeah, the Jets have the picks. The Jets have the Seahawks picks from that awful trade. It was a terrible, terrible trade for Seattle.
It was a hilarious trade.
You don't give up two first-round picks for a safety. I know Jamal Adams he came onto the scene pretty nicely in New York, but that was just a bad move. It was a bad move at the time. It looks even worse now. They're not gonna do anything other than they might draft it. If they can get some extra draft capital, they'll look to get a quarterback. Offensive line would make sense, and man, they need defense bad.
They need a lot of help.
They need defense bad. But obviously, quarterback is first and foremost.
Is it? I don't know. Maybe they should be doing what the Lions are doing.
Sure, they could do that too.
I never thought I'd be saying Lions should be the shining beacon for what a rebuild franchise should look like, or a franchise rebuild should look like. But right now,
they look like they're doing okay.
I mean, Dan Campbell had this team playing like they were playing for something late into the year when they had absolutely nothing to play for. They didn't full Jaguars and clown them on social media to the point where they were dressing up as clowns for Halloween.
The fans were dressing up as clowns.
Come on, the Detroit Lions, by all accounts, have every excuse the fans to act that way, and they don't. Look at what Matt Stafford is doing. They had Matt Stafford for 10 years. They're looking at what Matt Stafford is doing. They could revolt. They're not. That team was fighting for something, and that team is still all in on the coach.
It would appear
all
to
in
be,
on what they're doing.
Yeah.
They figured out Goff to the point where maybe Goff isn't. Maybe they can rehab his value a little bit and ship him off and
ship him.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for a team that's running a rebuild, they're doing it right.
They're doing okay.
Doing it right. But yeah, Seahawks could learn.
Their rebuild time has come.
Yes, and my mic is probably going to fall again.
Well, with that, we are coming up at the end of this stream. Regardless, we have been going for an hour and a half, but. If you missed it, quick rehash on Aaron Rodgers' potential situations, and then obviously we talked about the top 20 running backs. Very, very, very early look at over the past 2 streams, the top 20 running backs for 2022 redraft.
And what do you want to come with the top 30 next stream, or do you want to switch position groups?
Yeah, we'll probably pivot. I'm thinking we pivot to the wide receivers. At that point, we're still very early in 2022, where the top 30, you want to talk about.
But that's
changing.
But that's where
parts.
It's interesting with
Yeah, but there's going to be
Damian Harris. Where to see?
There's going to be so many things that
Travis
change
Etienne,
between
Rashad
now.
Penny, James Conner, Michael Carter, all those guys, man. It'll be interesting to see where they fit in.
Let's just kind of wrap up the running back conversation by saying those are the guys that are right outside the top 20. They have a chance to move up. They could move down. There's so much that could still unfold in this in the offseason where it's kind of premature. I think at this point personally
wait for Seattle to draft Kenneth Walker in the first round.
Yeah, wait till they draft Isaiah Spiller with whatever their first pick is. No, I think Seattle will look elsewhere, and they should.
I would hope so.
They better if they want to do this the right way. They better if they want to do this the right way. I think that's going to do it though for us.
Yep.
If anybody's interested, I think we put it in the body of this meeting or of this live stream. We do have a new Discord that just launched, the Face Mask Fantasy Discord. So if you want to, it's kind of like an evergreen chat room. If you ever want to come out or come hang out, come answer or ask questions, come talk to us, come chat with the community, that is officially up and running. So it is just recently off the ground. Still getting a few people, actually joining in. But if that's of interest to you, that is now available.
And speaking of up and running, we now have a members thing. We're offering memberships. That's
membership
what it is.
options.
Member
thing.
We're offering
So,
memberships. We got approved for that just this past week. So if you take a look on our channel page, you can just take a look at some of the perks that we offer with our memberships. They include members-only streams, members-only videos, members-only the physical content that you can download from our website, one-on-one team reviews with Nick and I at varying tiers, the ability to draft with us, join drafts with us, join leagues with us. We offer that as well through our membership, so check it out. And if it's something you think that you would be interested in, we would love to have you.
Yep. You can expect content to be dropping in there shortly, in the coming days and weeks.
But regardless, we're gonna keep coming with this the Dynasty rookie content.
That'll remain.
I'm gonna have one on Rashad White coming pretty soon, and then I'm gonna be switching over to the dark side and doing some wide receiver, some wide receiver rookie profiles like Nick has for the past 2 vids. If you haven't checked him out, he just dropped a Treylon Burks one today and did Garrett Wilson a couple days ago.
Yeah,
and
I was hoping to have that out yesterday, but I got a flat tire that I had to deal with. So
hey, the world.
you know how it goes.
But we already have 5 rookie running back profiles
some rookie
out
profiles
there too,
on
so
the
check
channel.
those out. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, I'll get one last shout
on the way out.
Yeah, if you could, that would be great. One last shout for anybody who maybe joined late. We will be ending Saturday live streams during the off season.
At least
but we'll be moving them. Yep. We'll be moving them to Thursday. So if anybody has free time, I kind of referred to it as some Thursday night football replacement. If anybody wants to come hang out and talk shop with us, we will be moving Saturday live streams to Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, same time as the Tuesday live streams. That'll be moving forward for the off season. But yeah, I think that about does it for today. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks everybody for your comments, for your engagement. Appreciate you guys as always.
Oh yeah, have a good one, y'all.
Have a good night, everybody.